All right, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. This is going to be your sit rep for Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, coming to you from the great state of Texas on August 25th. And so, without further ado, let's hop over to the board. Just make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell for notification. That way you get the latest and greatest as these things come forward. Kind of an interesting day. I sometimes I look at things and I feel like we're just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. I mean, it's just crazy. Every day it just seems to get crazier. So today we're starting out right now over here in Afghanistan. I'm just kind of showing you guys the flights that are just stacked up headed in. Now keep in mind it's about 4 a.m. there right now, so these are live flights going inbound. Looks like most of them are heading into Kabul. I don't see, the other day we did have some stuff come out of Kandahar and some of the other airports, but we're going to look at the board here. And just, I'll show you, there's really not a lot of activity going on relative to the other airports. And I don't know if it may be because those locations are a little bit more suspect, or, you know, they don't really have them secured. We do have Kabul secured. So I think that may be what's going on here. But you can see them, they're stacking up. Sunrise is about 5:21 a.m. Local there. And so as these things head in, they're going to be probably putting wheels on ground right about the time the sun comes up. So, okay, so that's what's going on right now. Like I said, they are stacked up. We're going to get closer looks at this stuff here in a minute. But you can see C-17s. That one's going to be an A400. And let me see who that is operated by. So that's Spain. So it looks like Spain's going in. Those not familiar with the A400, it's very similar to C-130. It has an airframe, though. It looks like an old C-141. So it's kind of a hybrid between the two, but it's a workhorse just like our C-130 is. So you can see we do have a C-130 rolling out of there, as well as a couple C-17s that are coming out as well. So, okay, now let's get over to Flashbang Schedule real fast just to see what he's got going on. Now, again, he's moved his schedule up what appears to be about 30 minutes in the day. So he's putting on his pants around 9:30. It looks like, again, 10 a.m. he's getting a briefing on the situation over there. And then later on in the day, looks like about 2 o'clock, he's worried about cybersecurity. I agree, it's probably a big issue, but 4:30, this is the guy right here. That's his wheelhousing. That's where he ought to be doing all day long, is playing with puppies, okay? And then, of course, this one I find interesting, 5 p.m. this afternoon. He's signs a law, H.R. 3642, about the Harlem Hellfighters Congressional Gold Medal Act. Now, remember, if you don't know this, this is for World War I. So the Harlem Hellfighters were tied to World War I, and the last survivor of World War I died in February 4th of 2012. And so there's really nobody here to receive any kind of a gold medal act or award. I guess you hand it down to generations below, but I don't know. Anyway, lip service. Okay. All right, now let's get over here to Tfrs. Looking at the board for Tfrs today, again, these are all, for the most part, these are fire Tfr boxes, okay? These yellow ones, all these round circle yellow ones that you see here that I'm pointing out, those are all air shows, okay? Don't have anything. The Senior Living Center up here in the brown zone is, that's permanent. That's still there. We do have, looks like, space operations off the coast of Cape Canaveral. That's in effect. And then there's a little yellow one right here. I'm going to kind of zoom in on. I'm not sure what that one is. Security TFR. And it doesn't really give me a lot of information around it. Let me just see here. Yeah, it doesn't, not give me any specifics tied to that one, which that's kind of an interesting. That's right over Orlando. Now, that's not Disney. This one is Disney over here. So don't know what that one is, but that's interesting. And then this is a security TFR over Warner Robins. And this one out here is a space operations. Last time I thought for a minute there, almost took the bait. I thought that was going to be El Paso, because I thought, man, you know, surprised they don't have some type of a TFR over that general area of Biggs, just because of what's going on there. So, but that is where we are with TFRs today. Now, let's get over here. I just want to take a quick look. I'm going to show you guys the airports relative to the general area there around Kabul. You can see this is Jalalabad, and nothing on the board. So They did have a couple flights that took people out the other day, but there's nothing on the board yet. Okay. We can look over here at Kabul, and you can see there's quite a bit stuff kind of stacked up. I don't know where to land in. I don't know how this is all working because as you guys have seen videos of the runway, it's they're having to use gunships to basically clear the runway, and so I just can't see them stacking up with all these flights coming in. So it shows this every day, but I don't see anything that would basically, I just don't see them going in and out. Like I said, it seems to be nice to have on the board, but I don't know these are actually executing. So. But we'll keep our eye on it. Now, that one right there is definitely, that's a global jet coming out of Teterboro, New Jersey, which is kind of an interesting, it's a little G5. So somebody's got some money bringing somebody out of there. And that's going to be Kabul. Now, of course, this doesn't show the C-17s and all the other stuff. That military stuff won't show on the board, okay? All right, now, this is Bagram Air Base, and this is El Occupido. So that is where we basically left our pot of gold, and I'll show you guys in a minute the amount of equipment that was left behind here. It's staggering. All right, and but you can see there's nothing on the board there. There won't be anything on the board other than probably airstrikes come September 1, if I had to guess. Okay, now over here to the U.S. This is Biggs Army Airfield, and what I wanted to show you was basically the flights that are coming in. These are full of poppies. Okay. All day long, these have been stacked up. Now, if I go over here, I can show you what was going on earlier today. You can see this was the board. There were 2 flights before that. I'll show you on the main board here, but this is where I picked up. You can see they ran last one that was inbound was at 5 p.m. And then I'm going to show you it actually, you've got them at 12, almost 1 o'clock. Then you got one at 1 o'clock. Then you have a 3 o'clock, a 5 o'clock. Now, if we get back over here to our board, you can see we also have a 6:50, a 5 p.m., a 7 p.m., all inbound or on the docket for coming in. Now, if you go back up here, you can see there was one at 2:41 p.m. and another one at, there's 12:49. Now, we did see that on the board. So they are, in essence, just pounding the pavement here with bringing folks in every day. So these are 737s. Probably hold 200 plus if they're configured, like normal. And so, yeah, that's, you probably got 1,000 plus a day coming into Biggs Army Airfield. So let that sink in. Now, just to kind of give you a little look at what Biggs looks like, I will show you. This is the Army Airfield right here. All right, so you can see they've got runways that kind of venture off in the same direction here. This is an international airport, El Paso International Airport. Okay. Again, runway headings look to be the same as this one. Now, why they don't bring them into here, and the fact that they're bringing them into here is definitely should concern us all. Why they're bringing them into a military installation? Again, there's something stinks to high heaven here. All right. This right here is where they would normally go. They'd come into El Paso International. This is a processing center for immigration. All right, and so that's where they would normally be processed through for normal folks. Okay. Now, my understanding is when they come in, they're actually going out here to this place. This is Donna Ana Range Complex, and this is basically, it's in New Mexico, and it's not far from White Sands. But my understanding is the Biggs overflow or the Army Airfield folks that are coming in are actually getting put out here. And they basically have a whole boatload of tent cities set up out in this location. Okay. So kind of back it up. You can see the different ranges. This one's temporary closed for obvious reasons. Now I will, and this is White Sands, so you guys can kind of get a bearing of that's a missile range. Okay. So, but yeah, this is where they're putting them. All right. So the interesting thing, here we get over here. I'll show you some of the Southwest airline flights. This one landed 18 hours ago, Washington, D.C. to Fort Bliss. Again, just a smoking gun. All right. Another one, Southwest Airlines, 6 hours, 15 minutes ago. That one rolled out of Orlando to Fort Bliss, which I thought was interesting. Not really sure. I don't know of any of them actually coming down here to Orlando. However, we do have, as I was just pointing out a minute ago, there was an active TFR. Matter of fact, it looks pretty close to that area, doesn't it? So go back over here, and that's a security TFR. So there's that, right? You guys tracking? So I don't know. Coincidence? I don't know. Interesting though. Interesting. Just another data point. I don't know. I wasn't aware they were bringing anybody into Orlando, but it wouldn't shock me if that were the case. My understanding is they have 4 bases across the U.S. that they are bringing people into. The other one is, besides Biggs, Fort McCoy is the other one that I found, which is up in Wisconsin. But I will tell you, as I continue to look at this one, I'm not seeing the airlines coming in. Now, they could be wiping the board and not showing it, but as I look at the stuff on here, this is today. You can go over to the next 40. There's really not anything on here that is going to be airline related, okay? So I don't think they're bringing them into McCoy yet. If they are, they're doing it via bus or some other method, but that doesn't look like that is the spot yet, all right? So good news for those up in Wisconsin if that's the case, but I don't know. All right, let's go over here to the flight tracker real fast. This is actually, you can see all of them starting to stack up here, that there's one, no call sign. Now, what I am seeing, this is an air refueler, U.S. Air Force air refueler. You will notice this is Kabul right here, and you'll notice that he's doing some routes out over the mountain range there at about 27,000 feet. So we've got, for sure, 100%, we got fighters that are flying combat air patrol over this whole area. I can guarantee it. So, and so we'll just continue to watch that. Now, lots of no call signs coming in. C-130 looks like that one. That's ones we're just looking at. And another air refueler. Looks like he's coming inbound. This other one was going outbound. So, okay. Now, let's go see what they won, Bob. Check this out. This is what we left behind. This is the latest list. And this is actually kind of crazy when you think about it, behind curtain number 3. We left them 2,000 armored vehicles, including Humvees and MRAPs. 2,000. 75,000, almost 76,000 total vehicles. Everything from Rangers to F-350s to Ford vans to Toyota pickup trucks. Sound familiar? Armored security vehicles, etc. 75,000. That's, you know how many car lots that is? That's insane. 45 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters, 50 Scout attack choppers. They have military drones, the Scan Eagle military drones, 30 military Cessnas. So that's probably one thing they can fly. I'm not so confident they can fly these Black Hawks for the most part. I don't think any of them have any kind of training to do that. So those things will be probably static display on the ground for a while. Same thing with these choppers. 4 C-130s. I don't know how to fly those either, more than likely, but there's 4 of them there. 29 Brazilian A-29 Super Tucano ground attack aircraft, 208 plus aircraft total, okay? Now, here's where it gets crazy. 600,000 small arms. That's M16s, M29 SAWs, M24 sniper systems, 50 cals, 1,394 M203 grenade launchers, M134 minigun, 20 millimeter Gatling guns and ammunition. Now, it says here, too, that they left them 61,000 rounds of M203 and 20,000 40 grenades. You got howitzers, so mortars, 1,000 rounds, plus thousands of rounds, sorry, of mortars. 162 pieces of encrypted military comm gear, 16,000 NVGs, 16,000 night vision goggles. You know how much those things cost? Those things are high dollars. Even if they're the single ones, they're still crazy expensive. You have night vision scopes, thermal mono goggles, 10,000 2.7 inch air to ground rockets, lots of reconnaissance equipment. This is great. C4, Simtex, detonators, shape charge, thermite. Yeah, we left them all kinds of nice stuff. Laser aiming units, 2,520 bombs. And then, let's see here, encrypted cell phones and laptops. That's good. You got to have comms, man. You know, if you want them to be successful. pallets with millions of dollars in U.S. currency. Man, you can't make this stuff up. This is ridiculous. Millions of rounds of ammunition, but not limited to 20 million rounds of 7.62. So that's your AK round right there. And then 9 million rounds of 50 caliber bullets. So, all right, large stockpiles of plate carriers and body armor. And then let's see here, biometrics. So we already knew about that. We were talking that the other day about the biometrics in my Monkey Minute. And then lots of heavy equipment like bulldozers, backhoes, dump trucks, excavators. Those usually end up turning into, bombs eventually. So that is the Christmas list that we left behind, folks. That just blows you away. Now, when I say left behind, keep in mind, we didn't just abandon it. Like our soldiers weren't like, get out, and leave everything. They signed this over to the Afghan army, but the Afghan army collapsed almost immediately. And so this stuff fell right into the hands of the Taliban and ISIS. Okay. Now, where have we heard that before? All right, let's go over and let's take a look at an old Newsweek article. And it talks about how ISIS basically came into power and the stuff that was left behind for them intentionally. This is a weapons cache that was actually grabbed in one of the fights there in Syria. But they are, this is exactly what happened. We basically bailed out of Syria and we just gave them a ton of stuff. If you remember, they were pulling up and they were like, how did they get all these Toyota pickup trucks? Well, that's because we left them behind. We left them just a boatload of Toyota pickups. I want to say there was 50 of them or something. So that's where you see them driving through and they got the flags blowing off of them. And yeah, so we did the same thing in Syria with ISIS. We basically stood them up. We gave them everything. And then what did that do? That drove an immigration throughout Europe, stealth jihad, right? We're doing the same thing now. It also created a massive vacuum for Iran to basically come into play, right? And so now Iran has a big presence in Syria along with Turkey and Russia. So there was that. Now, this is another one too. If you get a chance, I did put a link down in the description box below, but this is the wilsoncenter.org. If you want to really understand what's going on over there and how this whole thing flows, they have a bunch of very good articles and books on here talking about how all the stuff that's going on. We've got the aftermath of ISIS, which now is working together with the Taliban, who we've just completely given that entire Christmas list to. But it talks about, their plan and what's going on politically and how they're positioning themselves. Talks about the threats, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and Taliban is one of them, all right? So this is a pretty good place to start if you want to dig in and kind of get a feel, flavor of what's really happening over there. So pretty crazy. Like I said, great place. And I'll put that in the links down below. Now, here's the other thing too. I want to just kind of remind folks, in 2001, Bush Jr., basically, we went into, this was Operation Enduring Freedom. We went over there with the premise that this was going to be the war on terrorism, right? And so we basically kicked off a war. We fought the Taliban and we bombed them into oblivion, and that was kind of our mission and from 2001. And so it's still there. It still exists. And it just goes to show you, these guys were the bad guys. If you remember, this is where Osama bin Laden basically bolted and went to the right into Pakistan and hid for ages, okay? But this war was all funded because these are a bunch of terrorists that are over there that are embedded, and it was Al-Qaeda and Taliban all working together, okay? So remember that, because these are the same folks we're bringing here to our country, all right? And so if that doesn't kind of make you stand up and pay attention, nothing will. All right. This is history, and we're basically, instead of taking the fight to them, we're bringing them into our country, which is pretty staggering. So let that sink in. All right. But these are still the bad guys. This Taliban's still a Taliban. Al Qaeda didn't go away. They just basically, laid low. And same thing with ISIS. They didn't go away. It's you don't change that. It's a mindset, and it's a way of that they think. And now you talk about the culture. You're bringing 20, 30,000 people and minimum, and it's like I said, 4x that into our country. And that mindset is, their farm animals are more valued than their women. So that's what you're bringing into the country, and that's what our administration is doing. And they're not being checked. They're in a panic, and they're throwing people on airplanes, and these folks are buried in that. So there you have it. All right, now let's get over here. Speaking of what's going on relative to the bananas, we talked about the poppies. This continues on. The assault from the south, the border collapse, it has not changed at all. It's still collapsed. Now, this is going to be Laughlin Air Force Base. You guys can see here are these Swift Airs still coming in. These are coming. They seem to be coming pretty regularly now from San Antonio. But this was yesterday right here, right? 737-300. And like I said, this was, again, you can see them as you just go back through the weeks. They are continuing to bring illegals into Laughlin Air Force Base, into Biggs Air Force Base, and these people are just getting fast passes. So, okay, now let's look at the flights as it relates to that. So we know it hasn't stopped. This is going to be all your Swift Air stuff that's up right now. You've got them going McAllen, which is a border town. Looks like that one's headed over to, let me see, that is headed down into Mexico, South Mexico, southern Mexico. And then this one's coming out of Alabama. Brownsville over to Phoenix. So this is taking a load of bananas from Brownsville, taking them into Phoenix, Arizona. But that's where they are on the board right now. Now, I will tell you, earlier this afternoon, that board was very full, very packed. It's kind of slowed down this evening. All right, now this is another flight. This one came out. Now, this is a new location, and it kind of caught my attention. The reason I want to point this out, this is actually Harlingen, Texas. I've never even heard of this place, and but it's headed down to Honduras. Again, Swift Air, but it seems to be, I guess this is going to be on a border town. This is here, which is interesting. There's Brownsville right here. So it looks like they're expanding their operations into this area and adding another airport or an exfil out. But you can see that's today. What they call Valley International. So headed down to Honduras. It'll probably pick up some folks and come back in. Just add yet another airport to it. All right. And then in 531 AU, again, this is a Swift Air flight, landed 6 hours, 27 minutes ago. El Paso to Brownsville. Now, again, like I've said in the past, this whole, you can see they're running right along this Mendoza diagonal. But one of the things that they seem to be doing is they're repositioning folks. Now, I don't know if they're moving the males up here to El Paso, especially with the Biggs thing, but it seems like they're separating them and they're moving. You've got women and children going into San Antonio. You're getting the males being processed up here in El Paso. That's what seems to be going on. And of course, from here, who knows where they're going, where they're being trained, what's going on. But again, this thing stinks to high heaven. There's something going on here. This is a well-oiled machine. One of the things I will point out is, if you noticed when I was showing you that the Google Maps, you can't see the camp set up on there. Matter of fact, there is a camp that's down here close to Brownsville that was actually in place during Trump's administration. That was, I think AOC was raising a big stink about it. There's a big article out there. She was calling them concentration camps. But if you go to the Google map, there is no trace of that thing on there. So the images that they're showing down there are definitely dated. You're not really seeing the white tents that are stood up. Same thing like this one where I just showed you the Google Maps out here at Biggs. If I had to guess, now that's going to be the Donna Ana range. Now, I don't know if these are actually living quarters for people. They could be very well, but that's not going to hold nearly what's coming in. I mean, you're getting 1,000 a day. My guess is they're expanding out rapidly that this whole place is probably one giant tent city. If you get over here to Biggs, what I find interesting, it'd really be interesting to see if there's somebody that lives there in El Paso that's kind of got eyes on Biggs Airfield to see is, you've got 375 that runs through here. See if you can get pictures or have some type of eyes on a tent city. You should be seeing a lot of white tents popping up out here for sure. I definitely got the space to do it. And so even, along 54 here, somebody's got to be able to see this stuff. So, okay. So we'll get back over here to the other flights here. We're talking about Biggs and talking about just the different ones coming in between bananas and poppies. But here's one here that landed 2 hours, 56 minutes ago, Oakland, California to Laredo, Texas. That one's probably coming back, I would imagine. We'll kind of get into, it went from Laredo. So you can see here on yesterday, it rolled out of Nicaragua, went to Laredo. Then from Laredo, the next day, which is today, this morning, 8:03 a.m., it went to Oakland, California, and then it looks like it's coming back to Laredo. So that was probably a load of bananas that went to Oakland, California. Okay. N629 SW, this one came from Mexico City to San Antonio. That one just landed. That was 5 hours, 57 minutes ago. And so that is for today. Now, if you go back just for today alone, that thing started in San Antonio, went to Laredo down to Juarez, Mexico, then Juarez, Mexico back up to San Antonio. So more bananas. Okay. Now, let's just take a quick look. I'm going to just show you what's going on with the, this is Texas Department of Public Safety, or lack thereof. This is going to be N956TX. Rolling out of Fort Stockton today over into Del Rio. Don't really know what they were up to, but you can see they were doing some searching right here. That is, I want to say that's, 377. And so looks like they were searching an area right there. And then there's another one that we just added to our quiver today. This is N204TX, landed 12 minutes ago. Uvalde, that was, again, doing the same kind of similar stuff there. So this is, according to, somebody, a source that I have that actually told me, because I was thinking, man, this seems kind of deep. Texas is a big state. That's kind of far off the border. But my understanding is there's a lot of stuff that happens up here, that it's not a little sleepy town that you might think it is. There's a lot of stuff going on with immigration and cartel and things like that all up in this business. So, all right, let me get back over here. We're going to take a quick look at the U.S. Briefly, just to see what's going on. But you can see them; they're stacking up right now, all inbound to Afghanistan. Again, I feel like this place is probably going to go hot come September 1, because there's a lot of people not going to be out. And so I think also you've got more than likely there's going to be a lot of Americans still behind there. And so that's going to be probably pretty hard to watch, but I'm sure it'll be covered up within the news for sure. So that's going to be your night watch right there, currently about center of the U.S. Looks like he is airborne about 29,000 feet. And that is, for those not familiar with Night Watch, that is what they call the Doomsday Airplane. That's if war breaks out, that's where your commander-in-chief is flying out of, making command decisions, so to speak. All right. Let me see what else we got going on. We do have a lot of C-130s seem to be moving East Coast. A lot of C-17s up. And I'm not seeing anything from like a presidential standpoint. Like, there's not too much. Got a lot of H-60s up. Let me back that up just a little. I'm going to hit the filter because I do want to see if we've got any type of an overabundance of H-60s up. So that's going to be all your Blackhawks up right now. That's Night Watch, not Blackhawk. But looks like up here in the Northeast, there's quite a few helos up. But for the most part, everything looks to be just kind of it's kind of chaotic. These are all trainers in the center here, trainers in the panhandle. But there are the ones that we are seeing that are moving right now. seem to be a lot of C-17s. They seem to be coming back. I would imagine these are rolling out. Let's see if we've got that's Dallas Fort Worth, so that's probably coming out of. Actually, no, that's not Dallas Fort Worth. That's Round Rock down here. So that's coming out of Fort Hood, north of Austin. So I was thinking it was coming out of DFW from a high end, but not. And that one looks the same thing. So it looks like we got some Fort Hoods rolling out. Hopefully those boys aren't getting pulled over to the other side of the drink. Praying that's not the case. And so, all right. So we'll keep our eye on this US-wise. Like I said, most of this is just support. It seems to be logistic support for the activity that's going on right now with the massive exfil happening over across the drink. So you guys stay frosty, because I think things are about to get really interesting out there. So that's going to be it for today. I will be back on Friday with our next sit rep. You guys be safe out there. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworxus.com.